Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
Are you kidding? Your guy's got a camera. Mine's got a flamethrower.
This is episode 229, recorded March 16th, 2023.
Gruesome Magazine.
My name is Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-host Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. Just a reminder to everybody, we are now, all of the Decades of Horror episodes are carried on Play Now Media streaming apps. Classic Era is on Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, Classic Horror Movie Channel, Free Classic Horror Movie Channel, and the Free Horror Channel. And Decades of Horror of the 70s and 80s are on Wicked Horror TV and the Free Horror TV channel. It's also on Retro 70s, 80s, and 90s, I believe, although right now that's only available on Roku. Sometime later this summer, it'll be on, they have a website. So check those out. We'll be adding those, I think, weekly to those.
That's
awesome. Yeah, it's very cool. And they have great selections. We do a lot of our classic era movies end up being streaming on there. And I think that there's maybe a fair amount of what we do here. I usually try to check so that I can give them credit. Anyway, on this podcast, we start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions of the movie, and then get into some taglines and just kind of move on and talk about the cast and crew or whatever trips our trigger. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
God, what movie is that from? Sound good? Anyway.
I don't know. That doesn't sound familiar.
There's a movie where it's like a guy in a girls' school goes, sound good? And then they have to say, sounds good. Or anyway.
Sounds good.
So the movie today, never mind, is CHUD.
CHUD.
Which has a variety of meanings. The one most of us know is cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. From 1984, directed by Douglas Cheek, written by Parnell Hall, from a story by Shepard Abbott, and there's uncredited writing for Daniel Stern and Christopher Curry, who are two of the leads. Oh, I'm going to say their name now. And the cast includes John Hurd, Kim Greist, Daniel Stern, Christopher Curry. Production company New World Pictures, and the current copyright holder is CHUD Productions. It's filmed in New York City, mostly Manhattan. Filming dates, don't know exactly when it was started, but it was completed June 1984. Release date, August 31st, 1984 in the U.S. The budget is estimated to be $1.25 million, and the domestic box office for $4,654,000. So, yeah, you know. Couple of AKAs, and maybe Crystal can help me here.
Infierno bajo la ciudad.
Yeah. Hell under the city in Mexico.
Pretty when you say it.
And then the one for Spain.
Oh, okay. Okay, this one's fudge nugget. Okay, I don't know this one as well. I've never even heard that word.
Okay.
Cannibales?
So, yeah, something. Yeah. Cannibales, humanoidus, ululantes, demoniacos.
Wow.
Maybe that was Italy, and I thought it was Spain. No, I think it said Spain.
Yeah, but wow.
Which translates to demonic howling humanoid cannibals.
Oh, that makes more sense.
That's pretty good.
Howling. I was like, wow, I've never even seen or heard those words before.
Well,
like humanoid, howling, like none of that.
Ululate is a English word for the screaming warble that some people do. Anyway, the synopsis.
Oh, that's cool. Actually.
A bizarre series of sudden disappearances on the streets of New York City seems to seem to point towards something unsavory living in the sewers. And that picture
Totally
there would
believable.
be something unsavory. Yes.
It's ridiculous. I love
Not
it.
only that, it doesn't taste good either, I
No.
guess,
Ugh.
if it's unsavory.
Unsavory. That's true.
I think that's right before the beheading, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Its neck stretched out for no apparent reason.
No good reason, just to make it easier to chop it off.
Clearly.
All right. Well, let's get to first impressions. This was my pick, and I just felt like I wanted to do a sort of a creature feature. I don't know why. It kind of reminds me. I mean, they're not the same, but I sort of like put them into the same category as humanoids from the deep, even though they're not really the same. But anyway, yeah, I like this. I like John Hurd. I love Daniel Stern. I love Daniel Stern in almost everything I've ever seen him in. So yeah, we've talked about this offline a little bit. The humanoids are mostly just a mask, I think, or a pullover head appliance of some kind,
or a hand,
or maybe I don't know. Maybe Bill can fill in some of those details. It is kind of creepy because you don't know. People are disappearing and they're turning into. At first, you think, at least I thought, the CHUDs were eating them, but now then we kind of find out there's actually some of them are turning into them.
Like a virus, like a zombie thing, I think.
Yeah. Or like vampires. Sometimes they die, sometimes they turn. I don't know. It's anyway, I enjoyed it. Is it a great movie? No, but I think it's kind of a fun movie, and they have a couple of different narrative trails running sort of parallel, trying to solve some of the issues, and at the end they kind of come together. So anyway, I'll stop mumbling and let's go to Crystal. Had you seen this before, Crystal?
Yes, I saw this as a kid, but and I've seen several of them. I can't remember which ones for sure, but let me tell you, this is not what I remember. I was like, oh, this is way more like the movie is better than I remember. Like, I just remember it being so cheesy for some reason, and this wasn't cheesy at all. We talked a little bit about it before, and it's a lot heavier with the dialogue, a lot less of the monster and creature than I remember for some reason. I don't know, maybe just because it just stuck out in my head when I was younger. It's actually like the narrative is very good for an 80s horror movie. And I did not remember that any of these people were in this movie, any of the actors. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize John Hurd was, Daniel Stern. Oh, okay. So, and then there was like the guy who played Roseanne's wife was one of the cops at the diner thing. So there was a lot of stuff that I missed. So I'm really glad I got to see it again, just to remember some of that as well. I didn't realize how funny it was in places when this is so messed up. Sorry, but the dog almost looked happy. Okay, the mangled dog. I was like, sorry, I love dogs. That should be sad, but I was like, that is the cutest little dead dog I've ever seen.
Yeah. Trigger warning: a dog is.
Yeah. But it was so cute. I was like, oh. I mean, thankfully, it was like obviously fake to me, but yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I got to see it again. This actually makes me want to see some of the rest of them because I think they get cheesier. I feel like they do.
Oh yeah. The CHUD.
Yeah. What's the second one?
Bud the CHUD.
Bud the CHUD. Yes.
So maybe because I think I kind of jumbled them together because this was never really my favorite. I mean, it's always been okay. Yeah, I liked it. It's cool, but I don't know. I might like it more as an adult than I did as a child. Yeah. So.
All righty. Thank you. And Bill Mulligan, how about you?
Well, I mean, I saw this on HBO or Showtime or something, you know, as soon as it was available. So it was quite a while ago. And I remember kind of liking it, but I also remember very little of it. And now watching it again, there's not enough CHUD in this movie. The monsters are kind of cool. Yeah, they're nothing fancy. I think there might be some hand puppets, but the glowing eyes is always a good look. And the idea of the monsters in the sewers. I mean, I'm from New York. I was born in New York City, and that's always been the legend that we had alligators down there and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, New York would basically be like Venice. It would be flooded if it weren't for this incredible system of keeping the water out and everything. And the sewers are like another city. Certainly there's a lot of homeless people down there. Who knows what's going on? So this idea makes perfect sense and all.
Mm-hmm.
If you take all the monster stuff together, it's pretty cool. But boy, I forgot just how talky it was. It really is. It's a long time. Okay, we have an opening scene. That's great, a little teaser. And then it's a long, long time before we see them again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a problem, I think, for movies like this, because it might be one thing if you go in blind, like you have no idea what it's about, but the movie's CHUD, and the poster is the monster coming out of the sewer, and we saw him in the, you know, these characters that are trying to piece it together, and meanwhile I'm in the audience like, come on, let's get going here. It's CHUD. There's a bunch of CHUDs down there. Let's go fight some CHUDs.
CHUD be good.
Yeah, we got to drag them along. And I guess the big revelation is that, it's not what we thought it was. It's the government or big business or any combination of the two screwing around with the environment, the public be damned. And it's like, well, I knew that was going to come because that always happens. It's 100% certain that there's some bureaucrat who thinks that he can just dump toxic mutagens down in the, you know, in the bowels of the earth, and there's not going to be any payback. So I wouldn't mind seeing this remade, but I think if they remade it, they'd have to up the action quotient by quite a bit. And, you know,
but there's plenty. Even if they remade it exactly, there's plenty of more gore they could add all over.
Oh yeah.
Now,
but the one thing they wouldn't capture, and the one thing that I do like about this is, much like street trash, it gives you that taste of when New York was really in decline. It was a dirty city. You know, people were afraid of crime. It was kind of a bad time for the city. People really thought New York was about to become the next Detroit. Thankfully, New York had a comeback. Detroit just kept right on going. But New York brought itself back from the brink. But it is interesting seeing these films now. Whenever you get a glimpse of that time, it really was a rough time for New York. It was entirely believable that a bunch of cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers were around there. So it's kind of like a little time.
What was funny? Isn't Soho supposed to be nice? Was it not nice back then or something? Because he's like, I'm just going to flood a little bit of Soho. You remember that? Like with the
I have a feeling that was more of a I think that was more of a political statement, because Soho always had the reputation of
nice,
being kind of like the liberal hippie part of New York. So I could see where a guy like him might be perfectthe to take out all the Soho type folk. It'd be like bombing Asheboro here in North Carolina, you know.
Okay. Well, I forgot to introduce you guys. So
one of us is Crystal and one of us is Bill.
Yeah,
so
welcome to Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl, and Bill Mulligan, an all-around nice guy. How you both doing?
We're great. Yay, we're wonderful.
Totally skipped. And Chad Hunt is MIA, so hopefully he'll be back next time.
AWOL.
I'm sure he's got something going on.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Anyway, I miss Chad. I wish he was here. Anyway, so let's.
What does that mean about us, Bill? What does it say about us?
Well, you guys are both here.
Oh, Crystal, you missed it. the other day we had a letter from someone in England who was like, I thought Bill was like the good-looking member of the crew, but then I watched the video. I'm like,
didn't I?
What?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was brutal.
Oh, from Bill's voice, I thought he was the handsome one.
Yeah,
but turned out that's not.
He tried to throw me a frickin' bone. He's like, oh, he has his charms, but he's no George Clooney.
Yes.
Well, only George Clooney is George Clooney. I mean,
George Clooney ain't doing George Clooney anymore.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
God,
I'm a rock. I'm an island. It doesn't. It's just water off a duck's back. I hardly even gave it a second thought.
You had a concerned look on your face for quite a while there.
Yeah.
Whoa, cheese and rice. It's like,
yeah. Hey, as long as they don't say anything about Crystal, because I will get in a fight. I will lose that fight, but I will get in a fight.
Thanks, Bill. That's sweet.
All right. Time for taglines.
Oh, taglines.
Not with Chad.
Not with Chad, because Chad's not here. So.
Okay.
That's fun. Okay, are we ready?
Oh, these are going to be great.
That's fun. Oh, I go that
far. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers. I mean, CHUD. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Okay.
Sure.
Well, I like demonic howling humanoid cannibals.
Yeah, me too. Okay, this is ugly, slobbering, ferocious, and carnivorous. I added the "and" because it felt like it needed it. Those didn't feel like individual words, much like the first did.
Yeah, that just spells up usfic, so that doesn't.
Yeah, the ugly makes me laugh. The ugly, I'm like, oh, you're so ugly. Okay,
yeah. No George Clooney, that's for sure.
Hey, look at that! Look at that slobber.
Okay, they're not staying down there anymore. Or is it they're not staying down there anymore? I don't know. You won't want to know what it means. You won't want to know what it means. Of course you want to know what it means. Yeah. Everyone wants to know what it means.
Everybody knew what it meant before they went to the movie.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. And the very last one, and the longest one, a recent article in a New York newspaper reported that there were large colonies of people living under the city. The paper was incorrect. What is living under the city is not human. CHUD is under the city.
I hope the people living down there didn't read that, because that's kind of hurtful. It's like, what the? Hey.
For some, it makes it sound like, I don't know, for some reason, like chum or something.
Chum.
Yeah, it's weird. CHUD is under the city.
All right. Thank you, Crystal. That's been
sure,
Taglines with Chad, as played by Crystal.
Yeah, there we go.
All righty. All right. Well, let's take a look at, I'll bet you I'll know where most of these taglines came from.
Oh, okay.
There's a poster.
I need to make it bigger. Ooh. I do remember seeing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right under CHUD, it tells you what it means. So
yes.
We're not going to tell you what it means unless you look at the poster.
And the New York article is on the top.
Yeah.
All the text there. CHUD is under the city.
Now that is a cool poster. I mean, I like that. That's got a nice. That would go well with humanoid
ice.
Yeah,
I don't think that's called. They use dry ice. I'm sure. I feel like it was dry ice. Yeah.
You can't sit around waiting for fog.
So that's not bad. I haven't really looked for any other ones. Is that pretty much like that's it? They went. That's a good poster. We're not messing with that.
Stop drilling. You hit oil. There's no reason to keep going. This is like if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had actually been exposed to radiation, they come out like this.
It is funny that they put so much on there, though. Like it's like they've got all three right there. They're not staying down there anymore. So it looks like they put the emphasis on there. That's what I'm saying. They're not staying down
there. It does. It's
anymore.
Yeah. They're coming up here after people in Soho.
That's right. You feel safe in your gated community with your
yes.
doorman and everything, but not going to help you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna throw this up just because Crystal mentioned it before we go any farther. But here is John Goodman and Jay Thomas.
John Goodman, that's his name. Okay, I was like, I can't remember his name.
And Jay Thomas, that's crazy that they were.
Yeah, isn't it?
That brief shot. And you know what's crazy? I would have sworn on a stack of Bibles and bet my own money that this scene was the end of the movie, because that's what I remember. Is that CHUD ended with a bunch of CHUDs? You know, we think it's over, and they're coming at the diner, and this scene comes on. I'm like, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of stuff that hasn't happened yet. And then this is not the end of the movie. It's just, not even close to the end of the movie. So I totally misremembered that part.
That is the scene of total destruction that they saved tons of money on by not showing.
Not showing. And you know what, Jeff, you have just solved the mystery. That's why I remembered it that way, because I couldn't believe, that would be a good fade out for a movie to, oh, here come a bunch of them and something awful is going to happen. But we're out of time, maybe for the sequel. But no, to do that in not the middle of the movie, but definitely not at the end.
Well, there's a nice shot of the CHUD behind a rain dripping window, right? Isn't that in at that diner, which is actually kind of nice. Yeah. Or maybe that was outside of Kim Greist's window. I don't remember exactly which scene.
Apparently, these cops don't have guns, because if I saw that, I'd be shooting.
Well, they were John Goodman was too busy hustling the waitress, apparently.
Yeah.
And I believe that was his first credit.
Oh, cool.
What? Wow.
Got to start somewhere.
And he's got 166 credits now.
Ooh.
So,
wow. Let's see here. I think I got him on.
This is not true. There's a TV movie, Eddie Macon's Run, The Survivors. Those are all movies that came out in '83. So I don't know. Revenge of the Nerds. He was a coach.
Huh.
Anyway, so it's not his first credit, but it's very early.
Yeah.
Anyway, not to get too sidelined. Well, here's the main cast. John Hurd as Cooper. The photographer who's just too busy to shoot his model girlfriend.
Yeah.
Kim Greist.
Well, he just didn't want to do that. That's really what it was.
Right.
Like, he was trying to get away from that. He's like, I'm over that. Ugh, it's so pedantic. I'm such an artiste. That's like, that really was like his personality, though. That's what he was trying to
Well, there was something about makeup, right, and killing mice, or I don't know what it was. What was the deal there?
She's way too good for him. I've always liked this actress, although I'm really only familiar with
don't know who she is.
one or two roles that she's in, but I really liked her in Manhunter, which was the first Hannibal Lecter movie that nobody remembers, but she was excellent in it, and just has a nice, they say girl next door quality, although I've never had girls like that anywhere near my house, but it's just a natural, likable quality to her.
Just a couple years before this, John Hurd was in Cat People.
Oh, wow.
1982.
Was he Nastasha's boyfriend?
I think so. He was the male lead for the most part. It's who is it? Ed Begley Jr.'s in there, but he gets his arm ripped.
Oh yeah, he goes out like a boss.
And I'm just looking what
John Hurd's doing okay for himself.
Yeah.
The ladies seem to love him. And wasn't he also in Cutter's Way?
Yes. The Seventh Sign. Kind of a.
Oh, I love The Seventh Sign. It was a great movie.
But now he's the one who was also in Home Alone, right?
Yes. So he and Daniel Stern were later united, although they never did any. I don't think they shot any scenes together because the parents are gone.
Right.
So
I gotta say, Stern is fantastic in Home Alone. I mean, both of the burglars are great, but I think Home Alone's a horror movie. The injuries that these guys take.
And actually, and that's a little baby. God,
this is a little weird. I went to the theater in Ames to see a movie, and I don't remember what movie I went to, but they had a free showing of Breakaway, the bicycling movie that had, and that was Daniel Stern's first credit. I knew it was somebody's first credit that I was going to talk about. And he was cool in that, you know, and I just like him and everything. Then City Slickers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
No, he's got a real gift for comedy. Not all the films that he's in are comedic, but I think he's, you know, just great. Makes stuff so funny.
Serious role, and he came off as like he played this like homeless dude really well. Really well.
Well, look at that shirt. That's the biggest grease stain I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Okay, well, what's funny though is honestly, it's got that stain and then it's like clean.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like, look, there you are. You are
That's Hollywood dirty.
The guy next to him is Christopher Curry, I believe. I got that right. Yes. He plays Captain
he was the cop? Yeah.
Yeah. Kim Christ. So I didn't mean to pass over her, but you said you liked her in
Manhunter.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think she was in another. I feel like I've seen her in a sci-fi or something. Brazil.
Yes, Brazil. Yep.
So yeah, I'm not super fan, but I've watched Manhunter so many times. I
Throw
really,
Mama
really
from
like
the train.
Movie.
Yeah.
So when I saw her in this, I was like, "Oh, I know this face. I know this. It would drive me crazy." So of course I go to IMDb, or I could just ask my wife because she, unlike me, has a gift for recognizing people from things.
There you go. Out of all of these, and I don't know that much about him, I can't say as I remember seeing Christopher Curry and very many other things. He's got 84 credits, but I just if I saw him, I don't remember him. I apologize. And he's kind of swinging for the fences in this one.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, if you're making a movie called CHUD and you know you see the effects, it's like
okay. I guess
you gotta pay. You gotta buy the ramen noodles aren't given away. You gotta buy them. So.
Ramen noodles.
Well, and he's having to, they're trying to hide everything. So here's some good drooling, slobbering monsters.
That's
about what we get, it feels like, the whole time. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I say, I wish there were more CHUD. But I mean, I guess they're pretty smart in that they, okay, maybe your monster suit. This is before CGI, and you can't. Not everyone can afford Rick Baker and Winston, so you do with what you got, and you make it look as good as you can. And maybe it's not that mobile, so you show the hand, you show a close up of the mouth, get those eyes lighting up because that's a pretty good look, and don't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, no, I thought the masks were great, and that was those were done by John. Is it Caglione or Caglione Jr?
The teeth look awesome.
Yeah, the teeth have got the real dirty.
Mm-hmm. I love that shape.
Mm-hmm.
I hate when I do this because this name sounds familiar. I think this might have been somebody that Ralph worked with.
Oh, wow.
If I could scroll back to the 80s here.
John Caglione Jr., yeah.
CHUD, Manhunter.
Ed French, it's another
The
one.
Blob. I think he did work with them, yeah. The 80s.
The Blob. It's fun.
Oh, he's done quite a bit of
he's done a ton of stuff coming forward.
He's got a lot of stuff. Makeup artist to Al Pacino in Hunters. Ooh. Okay, that's pretty cool. In fact, it looks like he's been makeup artist to Mr. Pacino in a number of things, and
Yes,
He might
that's
be
always
like
pretty good.
more personal type. Sometimes they'll request certain people.
Oh, sure.
to do the
And
job.
makeup artist to Mr. Crow. So, you know, I guess he's a guy that some artists who he's done Pacino and Crow a number of times. So, you know, if you're good and you can make these folks look good, they're going
Yep.
to
Well,
ask for you. And if Al
Heath
Pacino
Ledger.
asks for you, you get him.
Yep.
yeah. Heath
Oh,
Ledger,
he was-
Ben Wade, and
He was makeup
310.
artist for Mr. Ledger on The Dark Knight. That alone.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's a big one.
I'm seeing he was Al Pacino's personal makeup guy on at least 7 or 8 films. So that's
it
cool.
is every yeah. Absolutely.
Good for
So
him.
yeah,
Wow.
cool masks. The close-ups of the masks, I think, really worked. I mean, those teeth, they're gnarly looking. I think you got another of those in here. Yeah.
Look at them; they look so funny.
I love glowing eyes. It's a simple effect. You should use it more often. It's like it just instantly makes them look creepy. Eyes do not actually glow. I don't think there's any creature that actually has glowing eyes. But when you shine a light on them, especially if they see in the dark, you know, dogs and stuff, they get that cool, weird effect and everything. So yeah, I'd say if you don't have a whole lot of money to blow on great special effects and everything, something as simple as just glowing eyes, a little bit of steam in there to make it look better. And
We get a couple of shots of hands coming out of manholes.
Yeah.
That sounds really funny. Okay.
Hands coming out of manholes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, better than hands
Yeah.
coming out of lady holes. You know, that would be a whole other thing.
I don't know, because babies.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, fair.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's probably you're
Um,
watching some really weird anime if you see that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, sorry. I'm so
No.
sorry.
So that in that center shot, what were they? Were they like just swimming in the radioactive waste, or what was that?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
No, there's not really any great logical
ridiculous.
explanation for how these homeless people got turned into CHUD.
They're green. It's like green and foamy, and there's like brown chunks in it or something. I don't know.
At first, I thought it was like they were eating, but you're right. You know, we assume that they're eating people because of the whole cannibal part of this.
Right.
But
right.
are they, or are they just like going down there and throwing you into a tub of radioactive goo? One of us.
Well, there's the one guy that gets bit, and he starts to turn into one, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
The woman's
The main,
brother,
the
I
first homeless guy, the one that
yeah,
they took
and
photos-
then
yeah.
but then they also find a guy like torn apart.
Yeah.
Down there that they've been eating on. So maybe it's one of those.
Did they ever show what happened to the wife? We know her dog got shredded up, but
Yes, we saw her that was the body they found in the river, in the water.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
The other
That's
cop,
right.
he went down there and freaked out, and one of the other cops said, "It's his wife. Go back, it's your wife." And I'm like, so I'm going to not look. So there was a couple of head decapitation type scenes. I don't think this will be big enough to show. I'm not sure how it'll show up.
Oh, that works.
That was good. Yeah.
That's a good.
Come on.
That's actually a good
that's
head, I
fine, right?
think. Really.
I'm almost 100% convinced that's a real head with a fake neck attached. It may not be. But because I'd have to see, what they do with it. But that looks awfully good. If that's a fake head, kudos.
It
That's
looks like
a really
silicone,
solid looking fake
but I
head.
don't know.
There
Because
we
it
go.
looks soft. See how it look like doesn't have a lot of texture to it. So I think
Oh,
it is fake, but they did
maybe.
a good because the
See,
eyes. See the eyes.
If they were paying me, I would just bury
eyelashes.
this guy in the ground and just have his head
Yep.
exposed and slap a fake neck on there and said, "Try not to blink. Pretend
That
to be
would probably
dead."
be the smartest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "I think you did this on a fire ant mound." Okay, that's the kind of talking that a corpse wouldn't do. Shut up.
Don't blink. I was watching a news show where they're interviewing somebody that had to do with, you know, the financials, the economy of the country, you know, somebody in the know. And I kept thinking, this guy just seems creepy. Why does he seem creepy? I finally figured out it's because he never blinked while he was talking.
Well, Jeff, that's because we are run by lizard people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he turned his head and the little nictolating lid.
Yeah.
Anyway,
his tongue shot out and he caught a roach.
So yeah, so we've looked at the pictures, but there's a lot of stuff that just happens here that's kind of cool, but then you kind of go, is that really? I mean, would a truck wheel falling into a manhole set off a gas explosion if there was gas there?
Oh, I can answer that question. No, of course not. No.
Yeah.
I'll
take things that never happened, Alex. Yeah.
Well, the frame could have made a spark or something, maybe. I don't know. Or the combustion I don't know. But it was cool.
Well, that's one of the things in movies.
Blown up real good.
Cars just blow up if you hit them in the back or whatever.
Well, and you're just waiting for that guy to get it. He's like,
he was
he's hiding radioactive waste. He's hiding CHUDs. He's hiding dead people.
He's in a lot of trouble, Buster. He's got a very punchable face.
Well, he's certainly played a punchable character. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I think we're running out of gas here. We're not. We got a lot of time left here.
Uh-huh.
And I think I've read all the long feedbacks that we've had. So
see what happens when Chad's not here.
Yeah, I know. It's just.
Well, it's the thing. Not enough happens in this movie. It needed more plot, and
it was it's too dialogue, like you said.
It's like I mean, we compared this to Humanoids from the Deep, and the thing is, Humanoids from the Deep, every 10 minutes or so, you can almost see Roger Corman's like, "Hey, haven't had that many rapey fishmen. Time for them to make another appearance here," and they would, and then some more people would die, and then we'd get back to the folks all like, "Wonder what did this." I think it was a boating accident, whatever. But you had to get that.
They very obviously stayed away from the rapey stuff. I mean, there was none of that. In fact, when Kim Grice, they have her take a shower, but they do one of those shots from the back while she's taking her top off, and when she puts it back on, and then the creature that comes in, apparently she has like a samurai sword handy there.
Who doesn't?
In her apartment, which was pretty cool. I loved it. And she gives it a mighty swing, and then you see, it was one of those editing jobs where you see the head on the floor, and then you go back to the neck, and it's oozing like glow in the dark,
right,
green stuff.
My
that
wife
was cool. I was trying to find a picture like that of that, but I couldn't find it.
Well, what is interesting and a little unique about this movie is like you mentioned how they stayed away from like the rapey stuff, but also remember when she's posing nude for her perfume, she literally has like a blanket on her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not posing nude. Yeah. Like, even if she was going to cover up, I thought they meant like she was just going to be covered up in, no, like they meant fully covered. She's like, is it because I'm shooting nude? No, obviously, no.
Not at all.
I thought that was funny.
They didn't even do the Austin Powers strategically placed pineapples.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, most of the time when they do that, if they were going to do it for a campaign, like a perfume, then it would be like,
Well, we did
strategically placed stuff.
Yesterday, we recorded a 70s episode on Death Race 2000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And every young woman in that movie has a nude scene.
Yeah, gratuitously too. It's so. I mean, that's the difference between that movie and this one. Is like there's a scene where they're all getting massages and everybody's got towels on them, but it's like, what bogus excuse can we have to have two of these women get into an argument? So they'll start wrestling and their towels will fall off, and sure enough, here it comes. This is a Roger Corman joint.
Or even you just argue and roll over to face them. You know, you don't even have to get in a fight. So, but yeah, so this is for 80s movie. This is pretty tastefully done. In fact, I don't think there's even a blatant love scene between John Hurd and Kim Grace.
Relatively restrained for a movie about cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Yep, I agree.
So, had you seen this? Has the director done anything else? Douglas Cheek?
I'm thinking not, or I would have done another thing, but maybe I was just under the gun here. Let me take a look at Douglas Cheek here. He did CHUD. That's his. I think that may be the only. He directed CHUD, a TV series called Vegetable Soup, and a Christian movie, a TV Christian movie called Peter, Paul, and the Christian Revolution.
Wow.
Well, maybe.
Interesting.
And a long time in between each project too. But he did quite a bit of editing. I guess he was
right.
That's where he really. Maybe he enjoyed editing more than directing. That's quite possible.
So, CHUD was the winner of the Best Fantasy Film for the Brussels International Festival of Fantasy Film, known as BIFF, as opposed to TIFF.
It's really stretching the definition of fantasy film.
And it won the grand prize in the Avoriaz Fantastic Film Festival. I haven't looked that up to see what that is. So anyway, I think the Brussels is actually kind of a big festival. Anyway,
I'm a little surprised he didn't direct more, because it's not a bad movie and it made a profit.
He does a good job with the shot angles and stuff like that, and the scare scenes, the poundings on the door. There's a lot of that. The little kid.
The little kid who keeps coming back and is like, is this when he dies?
Yeah, we got a dog, but they stayed away from killing the little kid.
That's good. I don't like seeing little kids get it.
Oh, also, I almost forgot. Laurie, I think it's Laure Matos, who played Bosch's wife, the cop's
the one who dies at the very beginning.
Yeah, she is Daniel Stern's wife.
Oh,
in real life.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
wow, that's wild.
And this is her only credit in IMDb, anyway.
Yeah, so she crossed this off her bucket list. Got to work with husband or boyfriend at the time. Okay. It's one of the more memorable scenes, actually. It's at the very beginning. Should have been more.
Yes.
Whenever I see Daniel Stern, the only thing I can think of is when he has that tarantula on his face, and that in Home Alone, and that scream he gives out is just A, perfect, and B, very close to what my own would be if someone put a tarantula on my face. And yet I'm the one who has to kill the spiders in this house. Whenever there's a spider, I hear, Bill, I got to show up there with a broom.
So they were married in 1980, and they're still married.
Okay, good for them.
Nice.
Good.
And let's see. I have to check this out to see who this is. Can't be him. Nope. Never mind. His brother is David M. Stern, which is
that sounds
a little bit of acting.
I don't know why. Oh, okay. I was like, that sounds kind of.
David Stern was the commissioner of the NBA for a long time. I don't know if he still is or not, but it's not that guy. Okay. It's not that one. So I'm really stretching here, folks. So maybe we should wind it up. That's right. That's right. Yep. Let's see. We talked about the kid. We talked about the. Oh. I love their way of sealing off the sewers. You don't go weld them shut. You
just put a car on top of them.
Yeah,
that worked for the Blob, sort of.
Can someone tell me why he had like that thing in his basement? By the way, I don't get it. What was that about as well? Like, why did he have away to the sewers from their basement or something.
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
Of Cooper's, of John Hurd's basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plot
like
point.
that was one thing I was like, wait. I mean, I forgot.
Everybody's got a metal trapdoor in their basement.
Yeah, sure. Who doesn't?
New York.
New York.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I was like, what on earth? Why the hell is this like?
So that his girlfriend can be the one who gets menaced by the CHUDs.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Well, I knew the one reporter, the freelance reporter, was going to be CHUD fodder. Because he's walking around. He doesn't really have an integral part. He's just hanging around in the background.
Right,
and then he comes and tells Cooper that people were following him, and then he gets snatched down a hole. Okay. All right. Any final comments about this?
No.
I think everyone should see this. If you haven't seen CHUD, like seriously, I guarantee there's some listeners who haven't seen it. You should see it. It might be considered a quote unquote slow burn in a way. It's not, because it's an 80s movie and it's good and but if we were just talking about it in today's terms, I'd say some people might be like, well, it's a little bit of a slow burn. It's not, but kind of.
Good. It's good creatures. Some sort of off-camera gore, right? Yeah. I mean, we see the after effects. We don't see
it's certainly a good cast.
Stuff happen. A pretty crazy wound on that guy down in the.
Oh yeah, I think that was really good looking.
That was well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was fun movie. And Daniel, good cast. Daniel, I'll always watch Daniel Stern. So
John Hurd is okay. So what's funny is this is not his best performance, but it just made me realize, God, he's really grown as an actor. Like he wasn't bad. Everybody's pretty good in this, but I see that he was a little bit, not as good in this. Just saying. Sorry.
Yeah, everyone's got to go somewhere.
No. It's just fun to see like the progression, because I think he's phenomenal. I think he's amazing. Actually, he's one of my favorite actors, but it's just kind of
he's no longer with us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
he worked right up until he died. He had some posthumous releases. He died in 2017. There was some stuff released in 2018. Heart attack. So he was 54 and 71.
And interestingly, he was married to Margot Kidder for 6 days.
6 days?
Yeah.
6 days. What on earth? How bad does it have to be?
There's got to be a good story there.
6 days, rough.
Well, and we didn't search for it, but we got to kind of hand it to him that that isn't something that we all know about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't come out. I wouldn't talk about it either.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that poor woman had a. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just looking at IMDb. It says August 25th, 1979 to December 26th, 1980. So that would have been about 16 months.
That they were married?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they separated after 6 days. You can't get a divorce.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Gotcha.
They both knew they'd made a mistake after 6 days. And hey, that can happen, sure.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't put the toilet seat down. It's like deal breaker.
All right. Well, I think that's it for CHUD. Let's move on to feedback.
Sure.
We do have some feedback.
Awesome. That's this is one of my favorite parts, y'all.
Yeah, it used to be for me.
Yeah.
Wait, but that wasn't from 80s.
No, that's true.
So the people who watch the 80s are
if that guy's listening to this and probably feeling like, wow, I broke Bill. It's all in good fun. Hey, I know I'm no George Clooney.
Oh, I think
I can look in the mirror and it talks to me. It tells me that every time.
I think he loves it. I think that's why it was a.
I'm probably going to get a letter every week now.
I was like, Um,
And your teeth are yellow too.
So the first one here is for episode 226, The Company of Wolves, which I think was Bill's pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From Dallas Nostromo. Bill, can you?
Sure. Dallas says, The Company of Wolves was one of those films I always wanted to rent as a kid because the cover art was so cool. However, it's because of the cover that my parents would never let me rent it. Yeah. Years later, as an adult, I finally watched it and was very disappointed, just didn't care for the story. P.S. I left all the punctuation out of my comment because I figured Chad would read this. Ha ha, love Dallas. So now we know why Chad didn't show.
You know,
who gets the last laugh? Chad.
We had one yesterday where the guy did it in like text speak. You know, like use numbers and abbreviations for words. And Chad read it phonetically.
Struggling.
Anyway. All right. And here's a couple for Vampire's Kiss. First one is from Jeff Chapman. Crystal, if you want to take that one.
Yeah. Good. Jeff, I already like you. Good pick, Crystal. Got me. Nicholas is so funny and good in this. He goes full Cage in this one. And then he does a laughing emoji, which obviously, and the crying one. He's so good at playing an egotistical, self-obsessed asshole boss that goes crazy. And that is true. So it didn't make much money and ruin their careers, which surprised me. When
I think he's talking about the, was it the writer or the director?
Yeah, because basically everybody else that ruined their careers. It surprises me too. When he said it was a take of Max Schreck, he's got to be taking the piss.
It's a British phrase.
Oh, he's British.
Taking the piss is BS.
Like busting someone's balls. Or
I feel like I need to read this in an accent, but when he okay, I'm not going to embarrass myself like that. He's got to be taking the piss, or maybe he is just as weird as the characters he does. I believe that he is just as weird as character is. Yep, absolutely. I think he's probably woo-woo. I've never been able to work that one out. I'm guaranteed. Like I would bet my life on the fact that Nicolas Cage is just as weird as everyone he portrays. Thanks, everyone. This has to be my favorite Nicolas Cage movie of all time. For me, some of the films he's more known for aren't really my cup of tea, besides Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Okay, anyway, I like his more offbeat stuff like Wild at Heart and Moonstruck. Yep. I haven't been able to get into horror movies that have been coming out in the last 5 years. But in saying that, Color Out of Space, 2019 Lovecraftian film, wasn't too bad. I think we mentioned it because I loved Color Out of Space. If you're a fan of Nicolas Cage and horror, I recommend that one if you haven't seen it. I love it. It's fabulous. Like he's so good in that. 90s, everyone has probably seen all the big horrors of that era. Yes, there are a few hidden gems. I guarantee there are hidden gems in the 90s for certain. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Joseph Minion also wrote After Hours, another awesome film.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was thinking we mentioned that, but I'm not sure if we did or not. But that is a really good movie.
I got to think about 90s hidden gems now. I'm like, wow.
Nicolas Cage is in Fast Times, which I did not remember.
I didn't know that. Yeah, me neither. I'm like, what? But
everybody thinks of Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Phoebe Cates.
Yeah, well, that too. So here's another one. I'm going to go ahead and read this one. Let's see here. It was a comment about Vampire's Kiss, but it talks about some other stuff from Dan Jordan. Dan says, I second Crystal's suggestion that it would be good to revive a 90s version of Decades of Horror, but I understand that it stretches the host thin. It might be practical to rename DOH 1980s to DOH the 80s and 90s, or as suggested by ChatGPT, you could name it DOH the Reagan /Bush /Clinton era.
Oh, ChatGPT, you're drunk.
Okay, that's really funny.
Or maybe not, despite the intriguing double entendre there.
Oh my God.
Anyway, a rename to DOH the 80s and 90s would widen your options in the same way DOH the classic era does without increasing the workload.
You're a genius, Dan.
There's that. That's actually true, and I think there's a reason we don't do that. Although
Why?
I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it to myself right now, but I'll tell you guys offline because I don't want to. I might be wrong. I gotta.
I'm just messing with you, Jeff.
I gotta check it with somebody.
We could do that. The classic could be everything 50s and earlier. And then modern would be 60s and 70s, and then 80s and 90s. Yeah.
Well, in 90s, the 90s used to be the 90s and beyond.
Right.
They did some millennial stuff too. So.
Right. Ooh.
Anyway, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dallas. And we apologize. I should have saved that one for Chad.
And thank you, Jeff.
Yes. And thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So that's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up is one chosen by Bill.
Oh, yeah. And
what are we doing, Bill?
Oh, boy. So I thought long and hard about this.
Oh, no.
It's a very strange movie. It would be our oh, God, he's laughing already. It would be our second anime film. And it's out there. It's rough. It's got some amazing world building. It's a cool story. It's very stylistic. It's certainly not the anime classic that Akira was, but there's nothing quite like it. But boy, there's some stuff in here that I may find myself having to defend picking this film. I don't know. I'll take the lumps as they come. I believe it's hard to say exactly what year. I think it's 87 or so, but it's called Wicked City. And anyone who's seen it is probably right now going, "Oh no."
I've never seen it, so that's going to be for me.
Your opinion is the one I'm most intrigued to see.
Well, it was released in Japan in 87, but it wasn't released in the US until 92 or 93.
I'm surprised they ever let it loose here.
You've got me intrigued.
God. I'm super.
This
is
like, Bill,
wow.
our go-to info guy on people that have done.
You're going to know in the first 10
film
minutes
careers in pornography.
Yeah. Well,
so it's that weird. Oh, I can't wait. Now I'm like excited about it.
All right. That is currently, as we record this, on Tubi and Pluto TV.
So how bad could it be?
But I just found two. As I was looking up where this was available, 2 new streaming services that I didn't know about. I'm sure everybody else does already. But there's one called Retro Crush, which is anime with ads.
Cool.
It looks like everything is anime. And High Dive is the same thing, only it's subscription, so you don't have to have the ads. And it said starting at $4 a month, and you could cancel anytime. So throwing those out there, these things are popping up all over the place. But yeah, so make sure and join us for that one.
Yeah. Do it. Thank you, everyone.
Always count on Bill no, everybody picks good ones. So that's it for us. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or make comments on YouTube, even better. And please subscribe. Please subscribe. If you're listening on the audio app, go to YouTube, find the Gruesome Magazine channel, and subscribe.
Sure.
Yes, please.
We would appreciate it. It doesn't hurt.
Tell your friends.
Yes, share with your friends, etc. We also have a Facebook page. There's a Gruesome Magazine Facebook page, and then there's a Gruesome Magazine's H&R and DOH podcast Facebook group. So check us out. You can also leave reviews on iTunes, all that stuff. So we love you guys, and we love reading feedback. And I appreciate the 2 guys that commented about 90s. That was nice too.
Yeah.
I loved it. You know what that means? That means that they stayed and they listened
until the end, because it was like after everything. I think it was. Yeah.
And
so we appreciate
it's wonderful. Yeah, that makes me happy. Thank you.
All right. Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s, as only decades of horror can do it. Say good night.
Good night.